Welcome to Talk Purpose and Truth, shifting you into higher consciousness. A show that elevates, uplifts, and encourages listeners to grow, heal, awaken, and evolve. Eden and Kim include bold topics, interviews with inspiring guests, experts, and celebrities, intuitive readings, channeled messages, mental health awareness, and hot topics to expand your awareness. Tune in for unprecedented truth, authenticity, on-purpose discussions.
Listening to another new episode. Hi, Kim.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Everybody says hi, Pack. I don't know why I thought that. Like, I feel like everybody's waving. Hi. Thanks for being here. We have a new guest today that I feel like this is something I don't think in all of our 100 and something episodes, we've never had anyone with this topic.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you are the first. So I'm going to introduce our guest. His name is John Darby. And he is, oh my goodness, I don't have it in front of me. Do I have it?
I'll read it.
No.
Yes.
I get it. I got it. He's a presenting contributor of Body, Mind, and Badge. And it's a book. And he's a retired LA County officer, former bodyguard, and Gulf War veteran with USAF security forces. And he enjoys weightlifting, trail running, Eastern philosophy, meditation, and astrology. He's an avid world traveler and lives in Arizona. You know what, Kim?
It cut off.
It's not there. So I'm not
here.
Okay.
Okay, John, you're meant to move. I'm just kidding. We're very silly like this.
It's great. I do.
Okay. Hi, John.
Hello. Hi, Eden.
How are you today?
Hey, really good. It's a beautiful day here in Scottsdale. So
good. Okay. Yeah. So we want to know more about your story and how did you it says that you're a retired police officer. How did that happen?
So I was retired in an injury on duty. So I joined the police department in 2000 after I got out of the military and finished the bodyguard work. I was in the family business for a few years. In 2000, I went back into law enforcement because that's what I did in the Air Force. And I loved the career. I was patrolman for most of my career, but then I got transferred to a special problems unit, like a community police officer. And one night we were actually pulled from our regular duty, and we were working. It's kind of a gang detail because there was a gang threat in our city at the time, and so I was actually working with my brother that night, and we were kind of expecting a busy night, but not too busy. But turns out we get a call of a shots fired call in a cemetery of all places. My brother's driving. I'm the passenger or riding shotgun, and we had another unit behind us. We go up on this guy, but he was hiding in the bushes, and we didn't see him until the last second. He came out. He ambushed us with a shotgun, and I don't know how he missed, because I wouldn't have missed, but he did because I'm talking to you right now. And so he missed. We actually contained him because there's only one way in and one way out. We were able to set up a roadblock. We contained him, but he wasn't cooperating with the hostage negotiator, not the hostage negotiator, the crisis negotiators. And he actually charged the roadblock that I was setting up. So I was still in the vehicle setting up this roadblock. And he came down. He was charged for my position in his SUV. And I had to bail out of my car, get behind a tree. And we had guns on him at the time. And he's coming right for me. So we all fired our weapons. And he was actually, he stopped. He crashed into my vehicle. And the incident was over. Nobody was hurt except him. He actually lived. He took a round to the skull. And that was it. The incident was terminated. The only issue was, you have to stay home for 3 days after a shooting like that. and my ear, it had completely went haywire. And so turns out I had nerve damage from the two shootings back to back, vertigo, a severe sensitivity to loud noise. And that was the beginning of the end of my career. I got relieved of duty about a year later because the pain was very, very intense. So that's how I retired. And I got relieved of duty in 2009 and 2009, and I retired in 2011. So it's been a while now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the story, how I became retired.
Wow.
Yeah.
Intense, like a movie.
What's that?
I said it's intense, like a movie.
It actually was a movie. It was, we have a lot of, I lived in LA County and I worked in LA County. You have crazy incidents all the time, but that was definitely the craziest. And he was a bad guy. He actually, he's a murderer. He got 211 years prison. Yeah. So he's not get out anytime soon. So
it's a movie though?
What's that?
It is a movie?
It felt like it that night.
It should be.
Yeah. But I wish it was painful. Movies aren't painful. That was painful because I was on ibuprofen for the next 2 years. So yeah.
Wow.
So anyway.
Wow. Did you get an ulcer?
That's interesting.
Because I got one from ibuprofen.
Wow. So I just recently started having the gastritis, right? And it's also too, it's from turning on the news. You turn on the news, there's tension, right? And so, but I love spicy food, I drink too much coffee. So my diet's really acidic. So I've had to change my diet. I'm actually feeling a lot better, but yeah, got to be careful. Ibuprofen can really mess up your system if you take too much. I did. So.
Yep, I know.
You during that time, Eden had talked to you and you had said you went through, not only that feeling of the injury and the nerve damage and depression, and your dad had passed away and just a lot going on, and you look great and your energy is great. So what was that like then? And then how did you transition into who you've become now?
So yeah, that's a great question. It's actually where the story really starts when it comes to mental health and how I recovered. You mentioned my dad. It was right when I was relieved of duty. My dad was in the hospital from a botched surgery. It was a malpractice. We didn't anything, but he died a week after I was relieved of duty. And I was very close to my father, very close. And I was the last person to see him conscious. And so a week after that, break up with my girlfriend at the time. And so in the course of 2 weeks, my life has completely changed. And I'm dealing with a lot of physical pain. If you've ever had an ear injury, it's not just your ear. There's all these nerves behind it, right? And you have TMJ, you're clenching your jaw. You can't even go to a movie theater. You can't, definitely no nightclubs or anything like that. So your life is just fundamentally changed. And I got very quiet. I had a really good background in philosophy, spirituality. And so I knew that I was going through the dark night of the soul, On top of all of this, the doctor, they're giving me instructions while I'm going through workers' comp. No more weightlifting, no more trail running. It's just, so every stress relief I had is gone. Yeah. And so I was like, okay, what can I do? And, doctor said, well, you can walk. And so I was like, okay. So I started walking. And I also found this meetup.com. I saw this medical Qigong class. Have you heard of Qigong?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Tai Chi, Qigong. And I was like, that's interesting. It's not too physical. And I go there and it's just a bunch of old people and me. Now I'm an old people. But so, yeah. So I learned these really easy, deceptively simple exercises. And I'm walking 6 to 9 miles a day. I lived in Pasadena at the time, and there's the Rose Bowl there. I don't know if you've ever been out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful track. It's 3 miles. So some days I'd walk it twice. Sometimes I walk it 3 times. So I'm doing Qigong twice a week. I'm walking and I'm getting skinnier and skinnier. I lost, all my muscles leaving. And so I'm trying my best to maintain a positive outlook. So have you ever guys seen that movie, What the Bleep Do We Know?
Mm-hmm.
You
Me
have?
know. Me know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually know the girl who produced it.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Great movie, right? Yeah, amazing movie. And there was one scene in that movie that really stood out to me. And it was the scene with the water, the thoughts and how a harmonious thought can change the crystalline structure of water. And knowing that our bodies are 60% water, I'm thinking, okay, I really need to take control of my thoughts. And that's when I started doing affirmations. And I would walk and I would do these affirmations to cadence as I'm walking. I'm breathing and I'm also saying these affirmations at the same time. I'm doing Qigong every morning. I have my brother, I was living with him at the time. I get in my little Tai Chi outfit and I'd play the little Asian music in the background, and I would do this pattern of movements. It's called medical Qigong. And little by little by little, the pain went away. And my body calmed down, my ear calmed down. And after maybe a year, I felt completely myself again. And it was beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
See,
Go ahead.
you healed yourself.
I did because, Western medicine wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do my stomach lining any more damage than it has already been done. When I went back to work after the shooting, I was chewing 800 milligrams of Motrin just to get through a shift. And I do it twice a day. So I know I did some damage to my stomach, but I knew that there was an energetic component to this, and that I had to take the stress out of my body. And Qigong and reprogramming my mind was the method I used to do it. Yeah.
I love that because I do a lot of speaking at groups, and I always talk about the Japanese water study. And I think that's what was in the movie, but they talk about how one body of water you yell hate-filled words, and you can yell curse words at the water for a month, and the next body of water you things. And the first body of water, and his last name, if you want to YouTube it, his last name is Emoto. I know that, Emoto. And
Dr. Emoto. Yeah,
yes.
he just passed away.
Yes. And and so the first body of water that you said, music and positive things, turns beautiful and has even like almost these snowflake patterns. And then the middle body of water is just gray and murky. And the body of water with the curse words and the turns black. And so it just is such motivation.
I have to comment that it's so nice and refreshing to see male all choose to heal yourself or do the healing work, as opposed to, and I shouldn't just say males, because many people do this of all kinds, but mostly men. Like for my clients, I have mostly female, so it's really nice to see a male do the work. And you could have chosen a different route, an escape route.
Yeah, that would have been easy to do. And I know a lot of cops, when they retire, they lose their sense of purpose. And I think now it's changing a little bit because there's more information out there and you have social media. So people are like, I have to stay on top of my game now because people can still see me, right? But I know a lot of cops, they fall into alcoholism, and they develop unhealthy lifestyles when they retire. Obviously, everything we went through, with the riots of 2020, and both of my brothers they're still on the department, and they they say it's just crazy out there right now.
Yeah.
And so you're right. But, it's so difficult to create time to do the work, as you said, when you're
Yeah.
still thrusts of, you're in a defensive posture the entire time when you're a police officer. The suspects are coming at you, your sergeant's like ripping on you about your reports, the defense attorneys, and everything you do is now everyone has a camera. And so everything you do is can be perceived or misperceived. There's a lot of stress on law enforcement right now. And so any guys that I talk to that are still on, I'm always, hey, let's go grab a cup of coffee. Let's talk it out. Because I'm not afraid to talk about that stuff. I've looked through my path, and I'm happy to share it, So yeah.
That's so good. Yeah.
How are you helping others today?
Solitude most of the time. And so I don't want to say work with people, but I speak with people like a spiritual friend, one-on-one, and I kind of meet them where they're at. So people who are in my local universe, I've been working with. And I think now, like your medium here, I'm going to start saying yes to these kind of podcasts and things like that, because I think perhaps I can give someone a few tools that they can use to get them out where I was. So I'm just starting this coming out into the public and talking about these things. I'm an introvert, to be honest.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time by myself, and I'm in Arizona. All my family's out where you guys are.
Yeah.
But I'm doing this to work on my mind and keep growing. But I definitely, I'm in that place now where I want to share it. So here I am.
Good, because you're an inspiration to those who, especially, I don't know if they, cops have this certain mentality. They're in their power and the ego stuff. That's the way it's perceived. So it's really great that you're doing this. You're speaking out, and you're more than that. And you can you can work on yourself and still have a career. And it's just to me inspiring, and for males too, very inspiring.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's good. I think a lot of guys, most of the guys I know, they work out. They're balanced in their drinking. They still like to every once in a while, and I do too. I have a bourbon or two on the weekends. I enjoy my life, but I find that balance, but a lot of cops are very religious, and they're devout family men and women. They're beautiful people. But here's the thing: is that their side of the story is never told in the public.
Yeah.
We always get what bad cop did over there, but you don't get 200,000 that saved lives that day, And so the cops I know, they're solid people. And yeah, some of them have big egos, but sometimes you need a big ego to deal with the world right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's true. You got to fight fire with fire sometimes, but you also, when you're out of that element, you need to find that balance in any way you can condition the body, mind, and spirit. You definitely have to do that. However, whatever method it is for you or the cop, basically. So,
do you feel like cops out there, like, for example, I have a client who was in, I think it was the CIA or something. She was doing a really serious drug bust, and she got into an accident, and she got traumatic brain injury, and she was forced to retire. And she went back and got her doctorate, and now she's doing therapy for police officers.
amazing.
And so, yeah, and I have not talked to her about like the turnout, like how many actually come to her. But I was just curious, like, is that kind of like, are the guys mostly like, oh, no, I don't need that, I'm good? Because I see that a lot with my clients, is that their husbands won't go to therapy, but the girls will. I see that a lot, although there are some guys. So how is it out there, in your opinion?
So you're right on that. I call it John Wayne syndrome. Right?
Makes sense.
I got to worry about it, and I see that a lot. I see it with my friends. And technically, those guys they're going to the gym, all right, and they're out on the weights there. The guys that I know that I hang out with, that's usually their method of therapy, or they're triathletes, they're runners. So they find ways to do it that way. So they need to have some sort of pressure release valve, because the whole therapy thing, yeah, it kind of has a bad rap in law enforcement, but that's changing. I think it really is changing because they see the benefits of it. So I did therapy after my shooting, and it was really great. I enjoyed it. I learned some things, but it was only about, I think I may have done 5 or 6 sessions. But I've been exposed myself to, the Eastern philosophy since I was in the military, and I studied all these religions. And so I kind of had a good base of how to handle deep conflict, and I'd done the shadow work and all that other stuff. But, therapy, most cops they're open to it now. There is softening that's happening. But still, it is definitely a challenge. And that's kind of why I wrote the book, or not write the book. I wrote a chapter in the book just to say, hey, I'm just like you, and I did these things, and, you can too, so.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was wondering because there's got to be so much trauma going on in that. Yeah. And that book that it came out in 21 or 22.
21. Mm-hmm.
21. Okay. So they're the authors in the book, they all from that field? Were they all cops?
Police officers, yeah,
Police officers. I have to call it police officers. Okay, that's cool. I think that's neat. Yeah. To see that, their stories, and because how we perceive them is just what we see on the news.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I always, whenever I'm investigating something, I want to get both sides. I think that's just the intelligent thing to do. But, everyone's an algorithm now, right? Whatever algorithm you're in, that's the only news you're going to get. If you're in a police officer's or bad algorithm, that's all you're going to see. But so step back and say, hey, you know what? There's I don't know how many, 600,000 police officers in the country. 99.9% of them are good people. They're great people. They will take a bullet for you. They wear vests to protect them from bullets every time they go to work. Who else does that? In the United States, obviously the military does. So a lot of people, they forget that. They just, that cop was mean to me when he pulled me over. But they get the whole romanticism of cops and, CS, all that other stuff. It's not, most of the time, if you're in the inner city or LA, it's grunt work. If you're out there, it's tough. And so I just, I want to be a message for them too. It's like, hey, there are good people out there that are, and even when I see cops, I go out of my way to say, hey, thank you for being here. I never tell it, but
I always look at them as superheroes. I'm like, they're daring because I could never do that.
It's
that's
tough
amazing that you did that. And do you feel like you ever have, because I would imagine that over the years you did that, there would be some really, or even with the military, there were some really traumatic or scary things you experienced. Do you feel like any of that is still like in you and that you haven't healed it yet, or how have you healed it?
So yeah, you have flashbacks, but they're not debilitating. And I mean, perhaps some. I think every cop, especially ones in cities, they have an element of PTSD.
Yeah.
You see, it's not just the violent things, it's the suicides. You see a lot of death. I had a suicide when I was, a young officer. I still think about it at least once a month because it was pretty gruesome. I'm not going to share it with you, but it's just like you get a front row seat for life, and it's not a Disney movie,
Yeah.
And so you sort of, you don't resist it. You just accept it. And if a little fear response comes up in your body, I use this technique. I say, I'm thinking about the incident. It's in the past. I'm 100% safe. It's just a thing that I say to myself, and it dissipates. So a lot of this work and meditation and affirmations, it's seeing your thoughts as separate from you, like you're the observer, right? You know this, you're watching thoughts and you choose which road you're going to go down.
Yeah.
And this is why mindfulness is so important. You know, you're aware of what's going on in your brain and you say, hey, look, I'm the observer. I can decide which thoughts I'm going to allow in and which ones I'm going to, kick out the back door, And so mindfulness is meditation. We haven't got into it, but it's very, very important, learning to watch your thoughts and separate yourself. So that's my technique for doing it.
Yeah, I don't even know what my technique is for what I do, but it's very similar. It reminds me when you described being on the scene and seeing those gruesome suicides or, those things in front of you, it had to be so traumatic. And I deal with it afterwards. And I just I had a mother I worked with the other day. I'm not going to talk about the story, but it was gruesome also. And so I get that too. But and I deal with the families that are survived, that survived these people and their pain that they express when I'm working with them. And I don't know, some people ask me, like, how do you not get affected by that? For me, I know I'm supposed to be doing this because I'm helping people. And there's something about me that I'm able to separate from it.
Yeah. Well, and it's I think that we've gotten good at stepping out here and looking in at your life when you need to. And I think I've done that. It's interesting though. I think I've done that so much. And what you said about watching your thoughts, John, and I think I've gotten so self-aware that sometimes I feel like this happens to me quite a bit. I'll feel like a hyper awareness of life almost. Like I'm like, okay, I'm in this bubble of life and this is what I'm filling it with today. And what does this mean? And what does that mean? I get overboard. But it's interesting. I mean, sometimes it feels very unique.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look at the world we're in now. There's so much information,
Right.
So many actions. It's so difficult to maintain that observer position, because the mind wants to jump into everything, and the mind's in, the ego's in, and it's reactive as an intelligent response, which is where the observer hangs out, right? And so I like to use the metaphor of a screen, like a film screen, right? Like the observer is just the screen. It allows everything to happen. The screen can be on the observer, but the objects are on the observer, but the screen isn't affected, right? And so there's a beautiful meditation instructor. Have you ever heard of Rupert Spira?
Mm-mm.
No, it's called non-duality, and maybe you've heard of that or whatever, but it's just this how to stay as that observer, how to stay as conscious. That way, when all the distractions are there, you see them as distractions and you're constantly at peace. Constantly.
Oh, that's good.
It grows. Yeah. It's like going to the gym. If you exercise it and you're still always back in the observer, that peace just grows. And then you never want to go back to being, distracted or involved in everything, or your ego is it's very beautiful because you get very humble. You're very kind. I used to have a problem with road rage. That's all now, I let things be,
Yeah.
So it's a very important part of this work. I think it's the spirit element of body, mind, and soul.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who's been your favorite author or philosopher or influence?
Oh boy, I've got a lot.
If you could only pick one, and you had to stay in a house for a full year, and you only could pick one.
Wow. Is he in the house with that person?
No, just reading or listening to. I guess you could be there with them.
How about that? Let him have him over.
Well, they could be, even if they're dead, you're channeling them.
Okay, that's good.
So most of my even the teachers I knew, they're all gone now. But the one book I think, and I come from Christianity and I still love elements of it. But I spent some time in Hinduism and Buddhism. And the spirituality, and quantum physics. I'm not a seeker, but I'm a searcher. I'm an investigator. I'm trying to find the truth, and not just my truth. I want absolute truth. What is true for everyone? And it's a very abstract thing to pursue, but it's been probably my life mission. One of he actually comes from India, and he's from probably Hindu. The philosophy is called Advaita Vedanta, which just means non-duality in their language. But there's the sage his name is, it's a mouthful, Nisargadatta Maharaj.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
a name. That's a name.
It's a name, Maharaj.
Maharaj. Okay.
Oh, okay.
He wrote a book called I Am That.
And
The simple premise is acknowledging the divine within you, the God within you, and not the ego, but the one that we all share. That when we say non-duality, it means not two, that we're all one. And it's not like, I don't really share this with my cop friends and all this other stuff. I've been on this journey that's been largely solitary, but that book, it really helped me calm my thoughts down and realize that the consciousness, the light of consciousness, is actually the answer to all of the issues. So it's a good read if you're on that path.
I'm gonna order it. Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'll give you one. Besides loving Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of the most life-changing books is called Oneness by Rasha.
So I've read Oneness.
Oh, of course. I love it.
I think we all have now.
Yeah. Wow, that was a long time ago. It came about maybe 20 years ago, didn't it?
Yeah. It's just a powerful one. It's interesting, Eden, because we've mentioned it on the show a few times, and I've had people come back to me and go, "Oh, I read that book. I heard about it on your podcast." And so it's
good.
kind of
We're selling it. We're selling it.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So
very cool. Yeah, it's a great book. I think a couple more too after that.
I haven't read the other ones yet.
Right. She's in Santa Fe, I think. So yeah, great book. Yeah, I would, and that was one of the books that jumped off the shelf at me. There was
okay. So I think I mentioned it because you're supposed to go back and look through it again. It's one of those books though that you open it up and it's like what you're supposed to hear that day. Like it's so profound.
Yep, I agree.
So, and you're gonna need to look at page 72.
There we go. That was the year I was born, so that's easy.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay.
I love it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Let us know what it says. No, we can actually look at ours.
Did you just pull that out of the air?
Yeah.
You got it into it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna while you ask him one more thing, I'm gonna see if I have the book right here. I might.
Oh, you're gonna read it?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's in your room? Okay. We're all watching. We're all watching Kim in her room. We have to fill the space with some.
It's not.
You can't find it. Okay. All right.
Not yet.
I don't know where mine is.
You have to read it in private.
Yes. Yes.
Kim and I did a book recommendation. How about you?
Yeah. Okay. I don't read very much, but the one that made me start the healing journey is The Heroine's Journey by Meredith Murdoch.
Okay.
That one sticks with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Yeah. And that one, I think there's a version for the masculine, but
Hero's Journey. Yeah, okay.
No, is the masculine one. Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
right.
yes. So you've heard of that one, but not the heroine.
I just seemed like
Oh. You might be right. You might be right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, I have a good one right here. This one, it's funny. It was just sitting here. This one is Being Peace by Thich Nhat. I have his name, Thich Nhat Hanh.
It's not.
Yeah, I say it wrong, but this is a really good one. It's all about the same thing you talked about, like the non-duality and just having peace in any situation. I think like it would benefit everyone to be able to try and master that as much as we can, you know?
Yes, absolutely. So I have tons of affirmations written down, and a few of them are from him.
Yeah.
He got some beautiful ones regarding peace, and they're cadence style too. You can breathe with them as well. And yeah, so he's a beautiful teacher. I think he recently just passed away as well.
He did
Yep.
like I think 2 years ago or something like that. So
Yeah.
I'll read what it just opened up to. It says perceptions are perceptions of our body, feelings, mind, nature, and society. And then it talks about perception is very important for our well-being and our peace. It should be free from emotions and ignorance and illusions.
Mm.
Huh.
It's beautiful.
It's a deep one, huh?
What he just described was being the screen.
Yeah.
Keeping
Yeah.
You're not attached.
Right.
You're unattached to
The
what's
video
happening.
game, to the video game.
Right. The objects, they play out on the screen, but the screen never changes.
Yeah, I like that.
Of that. It's beautiful. Or the sky. The sky is the sky. It doesn't matter what's flying through it.
Mm-hmm.
Sky's going to be the sky. The sun's going to be the sun. So just be who you are, and who cares what people think about you. That's something I had to learn.
Yeah.
Doing this work. Well, most of the guys I hang out with are all tough alpha males, guns and muscles and all that other stuff. They're like, well, I think John's kind of a spiritual guy or something. It's I don't mind it. The guys that are in my inner circle, they know it, and sometimes they're cool, and they talk about these things too, which is.
Thank you for listening to Talk Purpose and Truth podcast. Find out more at talkpurposeandtruth.com. And follow us at Talk Purpose Truth on Instagram and Facebook.